Hi there, Lynn here. I just want to ask you a wee favour, which is if you're listening to this and you like it, would you leave a comment? Let us know what you think about what we're doing, because it's a little odd and we're speaking out there into the universe and we'd love to know what your thoughts were back. And also, if the notion takes you, how about sharing this with a friend? Letting them know what we're up to. Especially, you know what? Especially if you don't like it and you've fallen out with that friend. That's all the more reason to share this podcast with them. Anyway, we'll join you again soon. Thank you so much for listening.
On Monday, she takes a walk with Johnny. On Tuesday, she has a talk with Jim. On Wednesday, she likes to dance with Tommy.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of My Index to Sex. I'm Lynn Ferguson, a big vanilla Scottish woman living in the San Fernando Valley, which is periodically very hot, but rarely in a sexy way. And I'm joined by my pal, Sephe Haven, at one point America's #1 escort. In each episode, Sephe delves into the index box of all of her past clients, and I ask her all the questions everyone wants answered. I'm lying. That's what I should be doing. What I'll actually be doing is assigning the anonymous client on the card a name and clumsily trying to understand a world which is completely foreign to me. Anyway, glad you could join us.
On Thursday, she takes a chance with Tim.
I have to tell you, it's very hot here in the valley just now. And when I say hot, I don't mean sexy hot. I mean sweaty, kind of annoying hot. You know, angry hot, where you like go to the Costco and you're like, get out of the way of my sandwich, get away from my buckets of cheese, whatever you buy.
Oh, I used to love to go to Costco. They used to have that really good blue crab dip or something like, my God. And you don't
Crabs?
Yeah, it's crab meat. It was good. Oh, you don't like that?
No, none of that.
Okay.
No.
Well, then we will not go to, we can go to Costco at the same time. Then you would go for different samples. Yeah.
I'll go for the roast chicken. You can go for the crabs, right? Which sounds,
Oh, thanks a lot.
sounds kind of awful. Hey, so
Yes.
what it made me think though, right? Because like literally sometimes it's so hot outside, I'm like, if anybody touches me or even speaks to me the wrong way, I'm going to punch them in the face. Like, how did you manage to work in the escort business during seasons? Were there seasons where it was easier or seasons where it was like not so easy?
God, that's such an interesting question. You are so interesting. Well, in New York, you're inside an apartment the whole time. But I do have to say that in winter, it was nicer because it was cozier and people just wanted to get in out of the cold, and it made it even warmer and sexier and, that kind of thing. Summer, I had the air conditioning on, but it wasn't as cozy, I suppose, right?
In summer, people smell. I know that you and I have talked about the smelling issue before. And also, whenever I think there's a good job to have your adenoids being problematic, it probably is the escort industry. Do you know what I mean? Where you're just like, I can't smell anything. None of this bothers me. Because I think, like, if you're ever in a changing room and it's in the summer and it's really hot and you're like, ugh, what that? And like trying on clothes. So I just wonder how it would be escorting in really hot weather.
You just made me think of this, and this is now there's a commercial on that drives me. I'm so angry at this commercial. I end up yelling back at the TV. I don't know if you've seen this commercial. It used to be called Lume, and now it's called Mando or Mondo or some weird, stupid, both of them are stupid names, but it's this woman. She's like, I was a gynecologist or something, and she says, no, I've made this and you can use it on your pits and on your slits and on your all sorts of.
No.
And she's the crudest, most disgusting. That's how she talks. You can use it on your pits and you could use it on your rolls and you could use it on your thing. And I'm like, what do you have? Like, what kind of body parts do you have that stink?
What are you talking about? Is it mayonnaise? What you put on? Like,
I don't know. But first of all, I don't know who she's marketing to. I mean, just take a shower, first of all. And there are people, I suppose, that, if they sweat, they might have a little more body odor, perhaps. I don't know. And I know that from what we eat these days, that can be bad if you eat commercial stuff, like diet on Doritos forever or something, I guess. I don't know, but I just hate the way she doesn't say, this will take care of body odor and you can put it almost anywhere on your body. Instead, she's like, you can put it on your pits. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, like, what is up? What is up with this body odor? And why was it called Lume, which is very French sounding? And then suddenly it's called Mondo. Like it's Mondo. I don't know. Anyways, I hate it. And I don't know anybody. When I worked, there were certain times there were people that you went, oh dear. But most of the time, even people who weren't freshly showered were not that stinky. Everybody has their own odor to them if you get real close. But I mean, not stinky.
No, and also, I don't know how many things you could put on pits and slits. Like, what's so ubiquitous that it would work on everything? Do you put it on nits and gits? And anything that rhymes with it.
Apparently, it's some kind of lotion that you could put it on every single slathering pot of your pot.
I've not seen that. I have not seen that.
Thank God.
Are you sure this isn't a dream? Is this a dream you had? Did you have a dream?
Every time I hear it on the TV, I'm like, shut up. Like, why do you talk like that? You are such a gross person. And then I think, who is she marketing to? Like, who thinks about their own body that way? Like, I don't. I think, I have an armpit, but I like to think of it as a sensuous part of the body. It should have a little curve to it. It should be clean, and you should be able to want to nestle your face in my armpit. That's what you should be.
Do you know who I think she's marketing to? Just because you've got me thinking. You know how there's companies where they put things that make your carpet smell good, even if you've got pets, or if you've got stinky curtains, spray this and nobody will know your curtains are stinky. And sofa a bit whiffy, is it? Spray this on your sofa and it'll smell like daisies. And you're like, why don't you just wash it? Like, what's like the big deal with the washing thing? So maybe that's who she's marketing to. Maybe while these people are like throwing stuff about in their carpets, right? And I don't mean, when I say carpet, I mean their floor coverings.
Yeah.
When they're putting stuff on their floor coverings, and when I say curtains, I mean their window coverings. They're also putting bits on their slits and their pits.
Right.
Anyway, back to...
Why were we talking about that?
We were talking about seasons and sexiness.
Right.
And I'm saying that if anybody tries to be sexy to me in summer, I'll punch them in the face, right? Because I'm like, it's too hot.
Yeah, it's hard to make a living when you're ready to punch someone in the face for what they smell like.
Unless you're a boxer. If you're a boxer, it totally, it's...
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't think you'd do well as an escort with that attitude, miss.
I would not do well as an escort. I tell you that for sure. Like, I find people are overwhelming. You like people more than I like people. Really? I find people and once they've talked to me and I've heard their story, I'm like, yeah, I'm done. Right? Like then Mark bought me a t-shirt, and on the t-shirt it says, I came, I saw, I left early. Like, I am totally that person. I'm like, hi.
Oh my God.
Whereas you are actually interested in humankind. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Just because maybe I'm a person who's interested in people. Like, thing.
So have you got a card for me then?
I do. Yes.
You do.
Okay. I'll give you the initials.
Okay.
MP.
No,
you don't have to guess yet. I thought I would describe him before you name him.
MP. Okay.
Yeah. So he was a Leo, and he has 2 kids, and he's married. And I wrote, he's a big guy. And when I say big, I mean big. So
do you know what's fascinating in this? Because I had just thought this might be us talking psychically. Because I was like, maybe MP could be the mighty Peter or something like that, right? Because so the M should be mighty. All right, okay. Well, I'm holding. Okay, come back. Please
hold.
He's gifted in the bits department.
Okay, big guy, big guy, bald, completely, and very nice.
All over like a baby possum, like that kind of bald, like totally like
fully bald,
like a
yes,
fully bald.
fully.
Not even hairy toes or legs or anything. Did he have alopecia? Was it that thing like Duncan Goodhue?
Like a Kojak head, you know.
All right, but he had hair down below, though, right? He had hair.
I'm getting.
Oh, sorry.
You are so rushing me today.
I am. It's because it's hot here and not in a sexy way.
I wrote he's nice and he's easy at first. And then I wrote, hold on.
Oh.
I know. I'm talking to myself on these. I think I had no friends. Just talking to myself on index cards.
Well, you were too busy. You were busy, too busy to have the friends.
I wrote, he has a very hard touch. So it's better if I tease him and don't let him touch me. And then I wrote, he likes oral, not O-R-A-L, but A-U-R-A-L, meaning he likes hearing about fantasies and me constantly talking and making up porno stories to whisper in his ear. He likes to go 2 times, which means that during that period of time that he's booked, which is 2 hours at this point in time, that he wants to have 2 times, which the difficult thing about that was I never knew how much men could recover in between.
Right.
So if it was difficult for them to recover, how much time did they need? Which means if they finished too close to the end of the first hour, it was going to be an awful lot of work through that second hour, as opposed to making it happen at the top of the first hour and then having almost 2 hours to recover. And then, going into it, because if he can't
get him to do the thing at the top of the hour, and then you could go and play like backgammon, something like that.
Yeah, well, that's a very good point.
Yeah,
you just don't know until you remember what we talked about one time, where I was saying you have to time out the hour and the time right. So if you make the met person do everything at the beginning, and then he's got nothing left, then he's done. And then that's a real problem. Then you're spending a lot of time sort of coaxing on your knees, a lot of knee coaxing. But I also wrote that his private part was burnt. It was very small. Because it was very small because it had to be reattached. So he was in a fire.
So he was big, but his bits were small.
Yes.
Whoa.
I know. And so I wrote, it's a lot of work. And then I wrote, because I look on the back and I can see that I saw him for 2 hours, this time 2 hours, that time 2 hours, the next time 2 hours, the next time. And I made a separate note for myself on a sticky note here that I put on the card to remind myself for the next time that he now likes spanking and a lot of rear end stuff. And so he requested that next time I wear a mini skirt with no panties. So there was a lot of requests going on. And I had to write stories, to tell him during the situation, because his doesn't work all that well. And so he liked all these alternative methods of pleasure and fun. So there was probably some spanking on him, and there was probably a little bit of, visiting the back door. With fingers or toys. And then probably while that was happening, I was probably whispering in his ear, and there was probably a little bit of...
You don't want to be doing the visit in the back door in hot weather. That's especially
that's time you might need that cream, that Mondo Lume cream. Or whatever it's called.
On your... Because then you could advertise it when you were visiting the back door. You could be like, well, this stuff is amazing. You can put it on your
smear it on while I'm going in, while I'm visiting. Knock, knock. Lume coming.
I think I still quite like the idea of Mighty Peter. There's a bit of me where I'm like, Mucky. Is it Mucky Peter? But I feel like maybe Mighty Peter, because I think if his, areas are burnt, then he obviously had been through something. Were you able to ask him why he had that?
No, I don't remember if I did. I must have known, because I must have seen it and he must have given me some explanation, but I didn't write it on the card, so I don't remember anymore. It was this is from the card. All these dates are from 1999, so it was before 9/11 even. So this was a long time ago, and I don't know what the situation was, but it required a lot of creativity. Remember, Mary Poppins, in the movie where Dick Van Dyke plays that instrument that has like 12 things happening at one time.
Yeah. The one-man band, he's got the cymbals and thing, right? Yeah.
Symbols on his promos and on his things. There were some men that I was like that Dick Van Dyke character. So on the one hand, he's probably bent over and I'm back there with all sorts of gooey things and also have a condom on my finger or a toy. And there's probably buzzing and things. And I'm back there. And if he's a big guy, then I've got to reach around pretty far under. That's kind of big and tall.
Maybe an octopus.
Like
maybe like a sexy octopus.
But there has to be like some stroking in the front, some moving in the back. There's got to be rhythm. I'm wearing a miniskirt with no panties. And then he likes spanking. So there's a little bit of that. Plus, he wants this whole time whispering of porno. So that's all sorts of, stories about what's happening right now, and making it sexy until the climactic moment. I was in better shape then. So
that's a lot of business. Do you know what I mean? That's like that. If that's the equivalent of being a chef, right? A chef at lunchtime, doing the daily special or whatever. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure.
I have a feeling we should call him the Mucky Pete, only because do you know when people ask for backdoor things? Do you ever find yourself? Were you always all right with the backdoor thing, or did you just never really bother you?
I didn't discover it till I became an escort because I didn't know that men liked that. And then suddenly there were men who would guide me back there, so, so I learned and I was like, oh, there's sensitive areas here. And, some men wanted that a lot. And some men were like, you can be there for a minute, but don't stay there long.
So how many times did you see the mighty Pete?
I saw him 4 times. It looks like it was in 1999 to 2000.
And then what happened? He just never called anymore.
Who knows? All people move on. He might have met another girl or his marriage might have changed and things were better or, I never know why people see me. At one time I had a client that he was single and he was lovely. Oh, the sweetest guy. And easy and just lovely to see. And every time I had him on my schedule, I was happy that he was coming over. And he owned an art gallery in Manhattan. And I know I had another one that owned an art gallery, but this is a different one. And then one day he came over and he said, I have something to tell you. And I said, okay. And he said, so just so you know, I brought you a gift. And there was this big package that he had brought in, but I thought it was just something he was carrying along the way and was going to take it with him when he went. But it was for me. So I opened it up and it was a beautiful painting from his art gallery. Oh. It was more of a modern art picture. I'm not really that into modern art, but it was lovely. And then I said, what's this for? And he said, well, this is going to be the last time I'm seeing you.
Oh.
And I said, why? Did I do something? What happened? And he said, he said, I found I'm dating someone that I really want to get serious with. And I don't want to continue seeing you if I'm getting serious with her, which I thought was so wonderful. It's like, I've raised you well, my little one. Now go into and be a man.
What I want to know is, did he ever get in touch with you a couple of years later and then go, hey, give us the painting back? And actually, I was wrong. Like, let's do another session.
No, he never did. But years and years later, I wasn't living in New York anymore. And I went back to Manhattan I can't remember. And I'm walking down the street and he was standing outside his art gallery on the sidewalk. And I started to walk towards him and I thought, oh, maybe it will embarrass him. So I was about to turn to walk the other way or to cross the street or something. And he went like this. He went, Sasha, and I said, and so I said his name and I said, how are you? And he said, getting married. And I was like, this is with the same girl? He said, yes. And I was like, oh, I'm so proud of you. My little one has grown. So, it was great I never knew if somebody stopped seeing me because they got bored with me or whether they ran out of money or whether they moved or whether, they met another escort that they liked or there's something changed in their marriage that they didn't want escorts anymore. Or some people would tell me Or sometimes I would hear through other girls, they would say, oh, do you know, I'm going to make up a name, Jim Watts or something. And I'd say, yeah. How is he? Because he keeps calling me and I haven't seen him yet. And, and I think, oh, okay, so he switched people.
Right.
He just was
You're
bored
not
of me.
affected at all. You would have passed Mighty Pete on, though, wouldn't you? You would have passed him on. You'd have been quite happy for him to, because you were busy.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
At that point, I guess, but I didn't want to lose anybody. Nobody wants to lose anybody, but I was glad to know where he went.
Yeah.
A little bit.
What age was Mighty Pete? 30s, 40s?
Oh, let me see if I have it. I have his birthday, but not his age. I'm going to put him in his late 40s, early 50s.
All right, okay.
Just from what I remember of him.
What did he do? Do you know what he did? Was he
do. He was an executive in some kind of telecom business.
Oh, right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's all that exciting, but
no, well, it's that thing of I wonder where, like if somebody who's that active and likes the story, mind you, he liked the oral, didn't he? So maybe he was listening to people on the telephones and he was like, oh, that sounds sexy. Did you have to do a sexy voice or was it sexy words he liked? Was it things like, did you have to say things like, oh, show me your sausage? Was it stuff like that you had to say?
You would not be good in this business, Lynn. I'm just telling you. Nobody says, oh, show me your sausage. Nobody says that.
I don't know. I've learned from you that it seems that people like a lot of different things, and there might be some category, admittedly a very small category, a subsidiary of a category that would like, hey, big fella, shows your sausage. They might find that sexy.
You could do it as a kind of teasy joke, like, oh, hey, big fella, show me your sausage.
Yeah. But you would have to talk like a pirate.
Yeah. Well, that's my Scottish accent, in case you don't know.
That's not a Scottish accent. As bad as I would be at escorting, you are when you're doing my accent.
Every time I try, I sound like a pirate. I don't know.
Yeah. That's an okay thing. Where was he from, Mighty Pete? Was he from New York?
Probably. I mean, it doesn't say. I'm assuming because I saw him in New York. He's probably either from New York or lived in the tri-state area or something. And it looks like I saw him pretty regularly. So it probably was in New York. He wasn't like an out-of-towner maybe.
I wonder, when he's walking down the street, because he's completely bald, right? Bald like a little baby sloth. I don't even know, are sloths, baby?
No, sloths are bald.
Yeah, but when they're born, like mice, when they're born, they're completely bald. What's the other?
Okay.
Those things. That when he's walking about in his business and was that the time, 1999, was that when we had the big telephone bricks as well? Do you know what I mean? When your mobile phones were like giant boom.
Yeah, I think no, wait. We had, I know we had landlines.
Yeah.
I don't think we had, do we have those cell phones that were like the flip phones that you really didn't text on yet?
I think we had the Blackberries. I think Blackberries were around then. Remember that?
Yes, I do. And you had to type like one letter at a time, like on a typewriter.
Yeah, right. Like in a little thing. They were stupid things. But anyway, so I wonder when you're entirely, completely bald man with a hidden burnt penis is walking about his business, talking into like the brick antenna, whether people at his work would ever look at him and go, hey, you know what? That guy looks like a guy who likes a bit of the backside stuff. Right? They wouldn't know, would they? In your years of escorting, can you tell when people open the door? Right?
No, I can't tell then, but a lot of times, and this is, I have many friends who are British. I would say there's a lot of chances if he's British, he does like a little bit of the...
Really? British? The back door? They do?
Yeah.
Surely that's just the English. I'm sure the Scottish don't like the back door.
Maybe not the Scots, but maybe just...
No. Yeah, Scottish are technically British. Also the Welsh. I can't imagine the Welsh would like the back door either.
No, it was more of a British thing, and usually the upper class Brits, because I think maybe this was my theory. Many went to exclusive boys' schools, and there was maybe a lot of spanking going on in boys' schools, and I don't know. I'm not British and I'm not a boy and I'm not from that upper echelon. But I did notice that, for instance, if I had a barristers, so here we call them lawyers, but they're barristers. So when I had a barrister, they're fascinating. They were so much fun to be with because they could tell a good story and, tell me about court cases that they had and so forth. And then we'd get into the other room and they'd say, oh, I've purchased you something. And then they'd take out a little box, and in the box was a little backdoor toy,
Oh.
It was for my use on them, so yeah.
I keep wondering what kind of backdoor toys is there a specific backdoor toy?
There are different backdoor. You have to make sure. Oh God, I didn't know there were specific backdoor toys.
Well, see, I think that would be a rookie error. I understand.
There was almost a rookie error that sent us to the hospital, but because I had this little bullet-size vibraty thing, and I thought, well, I can use it back there since that's where he wants me to be.
Yeah.
I put a little condom on it and started to. Luckily, I had the condom on it. That was the savior, really, because what you don't realize is how much suction there is back there. So I didn't know that. So I'm playing away, and then all of a sudden, and then had I not had the condom on it, I would have nothing to pull it out with.
Yeah, do you think that's why people go to the hospital with light bulbs and stuff like that up their back door? Wow.
That's how I learned that backdoor toys usually have an escape route.
Things you learn.
I know. So I had also British, but he was head of a huge bank, and he was staying at the Waldorf when it existed in New York. The Waldorf is a very fancy hotel with a circular door going in and this huge carpet, and the security would stand on many sides to watch over the place. And I went in very late, but it was a client who, well, first of all, these toys are hugely expensive. So when you had them,
backdoor toys,
all the sex toys were expensive. So when you had them, you usually would take them home, fill the sink with bleach and water and wash them off, and then, stack them back in but this gentleman, he would buy toys.
Yeah.
And then end of the session, he would want me to take them because obviously he didn't want to take them on a plane overseas. And so I would keep in my tiny little apartment in Manhattan, these boxes, these plastic boxes with men's names on them, like a humidor collection. There'd be John and Scott and Peter and Paul and so forth. And in there would be their specific unique toys to them. So, and I would wash them in bleach and everything else and bring them with me the next time I went to see them or when they came over. But this person, he was a lovely man, but he was staying at the Waldorf, and he said, can you bring my toys? And he had a lot of toys. And this took up a lot in my closet. And in fact, I was going to tell him, I can't do this anymore because I don't have any room in my tiny little apartment. But it took two.
Because we've only got one back door. How many toys can you need?
Well, that's like asking how big of a house do you need, so obviously we like variety in our houses.
Yeah.
So I had these 2 brown paper bags from Bloomingdale's, little brown bags. And I was priding myself that at this time in my escort career, I could walk in and out of hotels like the Waldorf without making a security guard bat an eye. I was dressed up in gorgeous clothes because now I know how to dress and I know how to do my hair, and I can wear these gorgeous Louboutin shoes, and I can walk past security guards at 1 a.m. and I'm carrying these 2 brown bags as if I've been shopping and I'm staying at the hotel. And I noticed there's a ton of security guards downstairs, much more than normal. And I'm thinking, what is going on? But I get past them and I get in the elevator and I get upstairs. And when I get off on his floor, which is the top floor, which I guess is also part of, there's 2 suites, which is one is the presidential suite and whatever the other one is, the other presidential suite. But I get off on that floor. There's security guards there too, which is unusual. But I get to his room and he ducks me inside and we have many hours and many toys and lots of things going on. And I pack back up and he's got me now filled with more toys and makes the bag really heavy. I know. And so I get out and I walk again past more security guards, get in the elevator, And I put the bags down for a second and I think, oh my God, I have really grown far because I can walk in and out of hotels without batting an eye, no problem. And I leave the elevator and I'm feeling like, yeah, I feel really good. And my bags even feel light. And I'm walking towards the revolving door and this hand clamps on my shoulder. And it's a security man who says, can I talk to you for a minute? And I'm like, no, that's fine. I'm fine. No, you don't need to. And I look behind me where he's looking, and I have led from the elevator to where I am, like Hansel and Gretel, just like dropped these little sex toys and dildos and chains and handcuffs and all sorts of things from the elevator. I don't know if there's more up on the floor, the top floor, and that I've just dragged them through the entire Waldorf. But
oh my God.
Gretel,
so then what happened? So then did he give you them or did you?
Well, I was mortified, of course. And I was like, but he still couldn't prove I did anything wrong, you know. But he called me into the security office.
Oh, no.
And he asked, you know, what I was doing. And I said, I just have a boyfriend that likes a little bit of fun. And so then the guy who was the manager of the Waldorf came in and I recognized him. And I thought, do I recognize him because where do I know him from? And it turned out that he knew me when I was going to Juilliard because he used to manage the Ritz-Carlton and that's where I worked as a room service person.
Oh my God.
So he asked the security guard to leave and he sat down and he goes, what are you doing? I'm like, well, you know.
Juilliard was quite costly.
It was very costly, yes. And he was funny because he handed me his business card. And he said, listen, I'm going to make this go away. And I said, yeah, okay. And he said, but just so you know, sometimes people ask me if I know anybody that's safe that I can send to them. So can I send you? And if I said yes, I thought then he's going to know for sure what I'm doing. So I didn't want to send. I just said, oh, well, I don't know about that. I don't know where you could go. And he said, well, here, take my card. And then one day I was back in the Waldorf and he came back up to me and said, do you still have my card? And I said, I do. And he said, where are you going? I said, I'm just visiting a friend. And he said, I think you should let me and you work together a little bit. So we ended up working together.
No way.
Yeah. He wanted a little cut of whatever he got. And that's what it was. But he, you know, I wasn't a big thing, but I saw about 4 or 5 people through him over time.
Wow.
I know. So, you know, I had to also tell the British guy that I had lost all of his toys, which was probably a good several $1,000s worth of toys.
Shit.
I know.
But you see, that's the thing about the luck and opportunity of life, because one day you might find yourself innocently walking about with a couple of wee bags of sex toys for the Backdoor area, and then opportunities just open up right there in front of you. It's not just the back door that opens up, but opportunities as well.
Somebody's knocking on my back door.
She's the sweetheart of 6 other guys.
Well, that's all from us for this episode. I just want to ask you a wee favour, which is, would you leave a comment? Let us know what you think about what we're doing, because it's a little odd and we're speaking out there into the universe and we'd love to know what your thoughts were back. And also, how about sharing this with a friend? Letting them know what we're up to. Especially, you know what? Especially if you don't like it and you've fallen out with that friend. That's all the more reason to share this podcast with them. Anyway, we'll join you again soon. I've been Lynn Ferguson talking to Sephe Haven. Join us again next time for another episode of My Index to Sex.
Of mine, 'cause she's the sweetheart of 6 other guys.
You have been listening to My Index to Sex, produced by Fergal LLC. The music was performed by Chesney Hawkes, and you can learn more about Sephe Haven at sephehaven.com. Go to mitspodcast.com to check out the show notes for more details, including how to stay in touch, give feedback, and ask questions. All the best.
Sunday's my only time with that bozo of mine, 'cause she's the sweetheart of 6 other guys.